After doing the last video about when somebody else has a shield and how to deal with it, I remembered an amazing story of one client that I want to share with you. As his wife had really totally shut down to him, and the marriage, even though they're in the same house, was over from her point of view. And he had contacted me again as to rescue himself because he was suicidal, and he really loved his wife, wanted her back, and he was ready to do absolutely everything to heal himself, to be able to be good in spiritually and well, to be able to have a chance at his saving his marriage. And so I was just organizing a detox retreat in Egypt at the time. And so I said, well, why don't you come? I'm just about to go off to do this retreat. And so I said, you'll have a whole week. We can have a session every day and work through everything that you want to work through. So anyway, I call this person AAA because he earned every A for awesome in that title, AAA, for what he went through in his internal journey of transformation in order to heal himself, to get his wife back. And so the backstory was his background. He had anxiety from many years in his life, from losses in his family, and also he witnessed a tragedy. I don't know if anybody will remember the tragedy at Hillsborough Football Stadium in the UK, and how many people died. And he, as a young lad there for the match with his father, actually stood and watched that happen. And so as a young person, that was a very powerful traumatic event to affect him in his person and create this kind of background of fear and anxiety that he lived with through his life from there. And he had a very obsessive compulsive kind of patterns of behavior in his marriage. He had lack of ability to trust, so he was checking obsessively things, his wife's phone, and he was drinking, and his basically his emotions and his traumas that led him genuinely and justifiably to feel so much pain in himself. His wife couldn't cope with his pain, and she put a wall up, and she said, it's over. The marriage connection is over. So he started his journey of healing his broken heart, that his wife, he was devastated that his wife didn't want him and that refused to open up anymore. And so we had to deal first with the heartbreak about that. And then all his behaviors, his obsessions and his inability to trust and his anxieties, where they came from. And we dealt with his, trauma from the past. He also had a rape trauma in his journey. Somebody drugged his drink, and had discovered later something had happened. And so anyway, it was too much for his wife, and so he set about this journey. So this took place in Sinai, in Nuweiba, beautiful Bedouin village on the coast of the Gulf of Aqaba, facing Saudi Arabia. And the healing sessions took place in a Bedouin tent on the beach, facing across the Gulf to Saudi Arabia mountain. It couldn't have been a more beautiful setting for healing. And so we had our group sessions from the retreat with the other members in the retreat. And then AAA, as he got his name, had extra sessions with me through that week. And we worked through everything to heal his pain, to surrender, to love himself and not be grasping and desperate for love from his wife and hurt that it wasn't there and available. We really powered up his heart. We did a lot of heart healing to strengthen his heart, that he loved himself, and also he was a spiritual guy. And so we also turned into his relationship with God to receive love and feel and be loved in that relationship too. And so in the end of the week, he wrote lots of poetry during the week too, was kind of flowed out of him about his transformations, quite amazing. And in the end of the week, he was ready for going home. And so as he went home, he was going home much more feeling whole, much more strong, his self-esteem and his self-confidence grown back again, feeling good about himself with compassion for himself. But now he was going back to a wife who still had the wall up. And so he had to go back into that house. And so he had to learn how to accept the wall and not want to try to get through or to expect anything more than was actually given, which was very, very little. And so he continued to work on himself. I had a couple more sessions with him when he went home just to support him in that journey. And he continued to strengthen his heart, to pray, to turn into his relationship with God and feel loved and go about his job as a dad, because he had 2 daughters. And in the end, he did everything he could in that model, and his wife still had up the shield. And so he kind of came to a place in himself of saying, well, obviously it's not going to happen. So he said to her, it's okay, I'll move out, and I accept it's over. And so, in other words, inside him, he had healed and surrendered every attachment and expectation in himself. So he was completely free, loved her, absolutely still loved her, but completely free in that sense, in his own power. And then she said, one more chance. I'll give you one more chance. Do not let me down. And so she dropped her shield and they started their relationship again. Anyway, a year later, he told me that she was the one who asked him, could they have a ceremony to bless their marriage again and strengthen, renew their marriage vows. And so they did. And this family are still together years later. Again, another family saved. And I'm so happy to see his journey. He shares his posts and things on Facebook of his family. And I think of the happiness in that family and the love. And that might not have been. Only he had the courage and the love to go in and face all the parts of him that needed to heal and do what it took to be the man that he really was inside. And then he got his marriage back and he saved his family. He saved his family. Beautiful story. I hope that's inspiring. And if anybody's listening again, that's in a difficult stage of your relationship, there is hope. You got to do the work. The work's available to be done. It's completely possible. You can find your way through the pain back to love and connection. Where there's the will, there's the way. So, and we've got the videos, the guided sessions to help you. And of course, I'm here for private sessions to help anybody who'd like to book as well. Thank you for listening. That's AAA. Great guy.